Again, you see, I was laying here in bed. It's 4 minutes past 4 now. And I rolled off the last recording, and it just fluently rolled off. And yet I felt at the beginning, I'm not sure if I've got anything here. It's not. I don't feel inspired, but I do have a point I'd like to make. And so I did. And now I feel, my goodness, I've got something that could be a blessing to some people, real help. And I'm so pleased. I thank God for this encouragement to me and hopefully to others. And it is in hope. My mum had a very sad saying. She was full of non-biblical sayings. We live in hope and die in despair. Another one of hers was, down to the depths or up to the throne, he travels fastest who travels alone. No wonder she died in depression. Possibly suicide at the end. I don't know. Too many painkillers. Ulcerated legs, poor soul. Living alone because no one was really good enough to live with. Even her son, Marshall. Look, you can't live with the tragedies of life, love. You need to trust in God, who personifies all that you think is truly valuable, worthwhile. And you will find devotion to such image. As in the Jesus story, Jesus' only name for God is Dad. And it's probably Abba, the kind, loving dad, not the distant, formal, Victorian, religious or dominating dad, but Dad, not father, Dad. I didn't have a warm father. He was distant. Morning, boy, how are you? Lovely morning. Open the curtains, bring in a cup of tea though. And then he'd plough on with his day in the city. And he'd come home too late at night to see him usually. Working hard. Job first. After all, how can I care for my family? I'm not a success in the world. In fact, that wasn't true. He was wealthy. He could have cared for his family sitting at home. But it was his duty to Queen and country, of course, to be, in his understanding, he was called to the city, stock market. Amazing how he thought such a casino was such a noble, noble field of action to live in. But I suppose he was just fascinated by it. But never gambled himself. The only stocks and shares he owned were things like shares in British cotton industry, which was in continual decline, of course, throughout his whole lifetime. But was rationalising, kept up a reasonable rate of return, and he was in ultra safe assets, really. Yeah. I don't know how interesting a chap he was, really, because I never knew him. Just didn't communicate. I went shopping with him occasionally, and I'd help him with mowing the lawn, which took him 3.5 hours. It was 1.5 acres of garden to mow with a small motor mower. Not a ride-on, not in those days. But most of my time was devoted to Mum, who was devoted to Marshall. Thank God. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. So yes, to return to my point here in this recording, you trust God. You think of doing something, well, tentatively try it. See what transpires. I came to New Zealand thinking, well, I've done a lot of teaching in the UK. I can always teach in schools. I got here and found I couldn't. I mean, they only had teachers that had teachers' training certificates, even though I had got decades of school teaching behind me. But I got over the decades, a lot of university lecturing teaching as well. And that suddenly opened up by the grace of God and the kindness of people here. And we found we had work overflowing. Never been so well off in our lives. Amazing blessing. And some aren't. You know, I've known fully qualified plumbers and electricians who have come here and because of all sorts of trade restrictions went back again to England because they couldn't practice without re-qualifying, which was a nonsense. They were better qualified than the people here. And you didn't have to come from England to be like that. I've had engineers come from darkest Africa. You know? Far better qualified than those trained in New Zealand, but can't break into the market. But it doesn't always go easy, does it? And is it by the grace of God, or is it by extreme caution that you test the waters cautiously and don't be too reckless? But on the other hand, a trust in God, an earnest trust in God, does enable you to cautiously make change, carefully. If you're reckless like the charismatics and, well, not so much the charismatics, but the Pentecostals, then you make horrendous decisions and you never get out of your poverty. You're always thinking, oh, I've got a word from God, I must abandon all and go into the ministry, I must, move house and give away so-and-so. And I've done that. Part of the reason, only part, but, significant part of the reason for me being poor relative to the rest of my life now. But in terms of standard of living and comfort and sereneness of life, I've never been so blessed. As I say, I've been single now for nearly the past 10 years. And far from being the greatest catastrophe of my life, it's turned into the greatest blessing. Because, of course, it's such opportunity to be devoted earnestly to God. I'm not constantly putting wife and family first. Or now some career because I'm retired and I live in a country that's, I come from a country that's still paying me a pension. It's just a bit below what I would earn here, receive here. So here makes it up with a few dollars a week. Only something like $25 a week or something. Nothing really. And so I find, yes, you are single, but the accommodation is fine. I'm renting, which is not safe and reliable like owning a house, but how safe and reliable is owning property when your mortgage can be any cost depending on the interest rate tomorrow? Wow. And you can't hedge, a 25-year fixed mortgage rate. It's, 3 years max, is it, or something? And you pay rates as if you didn't own the property. Some of these people pay, 15% 1,500 a year rates or 3,000 or 4,000 a year rates, depending where they are and what they're in. Do you own the place or not? You don't, no. Government can rate tax you out of ownership if necessary. Do they? Well, hopefully not. I'm come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. How much more when you come to trust and love God to be your heavenly Dad, who loves and cares for all life. Come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. If you think it's a delusion, I tell you, it's a very beneficial one. Do you want to be happy and deluded, or realistic and pragmatic, and suicidal, lonely, and despairing of the port? Choose you this day whom you'll serve. Bless you. And I know who you've chosen, because you wouldn't be listening to me otherwise. Bless you, love. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.